Hi friends, happy Monday. Today is Monday, March 30th, 2020. How was your weekend? It was pretty rainy this weekend, so I'm really happy to be seeing this sun come out this morning. Before we finish our Doll People book today, I'm going to ask you your would you rather question for today. So my question to you today is, would you rather go skiing or go to a water park? So would you rather go skiing or go to a water park? Feel free to email me your answer or just turn to a person in your house and tell them which one you would rather do and why. All right, let's finish our Doll People book. I will get the screen up so you can follow along if that is what you like to do. And we will finish this book today. All right, chapter 18, Annabelle's birthday party. And there is a wrong page. All right. The next few days were a whirl of activity for Annabelle and her family. The Palmers kept visiting the dollhouse to exclaim over Auntie Sarah. And of course, all the dolls wanted to spend time with her, to hear of her adventures, getting stuck under the trunk, about her night in the captain's bed, and they wanted to tell Auntie Sarah the events of the last 45 years. There was so much talking to be done that no one was as careful as usual about when they moved around or where the humans were or who was at home. But they were careful enough and no one got caught. At night, the dolls and the Funcrafts ran back and forth between their houses, planning the party. It was to be held at the Funcrafts, since the dolls still had not had a proper visit to their home, had only seen it from a distance. Tiffany told Annabelle to expect a little surprise, but she wouldn't say anything more than that. On the night of the party, the dolls waited until the stroke of midnight before they began to climb down the stool. Annabelle had insisted on that. It wasn't her birthday until midnight, not really, and she didn't want the adventure to begin until her birthday had begun as well. Annabelle watched as her family made their way down the hallway to Nora's room, Mama holding a fresh bouquet of paper flowers. Uncle Doll and Auntie Sarah were in the lead, and Annabelle was proud of her brave uncle. He held Auntie Sarah's hand and talked quietly with her. When the dolls reached Nora's doorway, Annabelle peeked around the corner. "Here we are again," she whispered. Billy waved to them from the doorway. "Hey, everybody," he called. "Happy birthday, Annabelle. Come on in." Annabelle darted across Nora's floor, her family following. She ran straight to Tiffany, and together they entered the Funcrafts' house. Annabelle drew in her breath, ready to say how lovely, how charming the decor was. Instead, she found herself saying, "My, how modern." "Thanks," replied Tiffany. Annabelle gazed around. Everything in the house was plastic, and most of it was pink. And it was still a huge mess. Furniture, books, pots, and pans, everything that had come with the house was in a jumble. Chairs were tossed in corners, tables were overturned, pots and pans were scattered about the floor. The kitchen sink was resting on the staircase. "I guess Nora hasn't finished setting up the house yet," Annabelle said to Tiffany. "It isn't that so much," Tiffany replied. "She never even started to set it up. But she plays in the house almost every day, and she just tosses things around. Yesterday, for instance, she was giving baby Brittany rides through the house in the flying sink." Annabelle caught sight of a hideous plastic chicken and a dusting of powder in the dining room and thought she knew what else Nora had been doing. The rest of the dolls had now entered the house. Mama presented the flowers to Mom Funcraft, who was delighted by them. Here's a picture of what was just described in the house. All of the furniture everywhere and everything kind of jumbled. And fussed about looking for a vase. Annabelle saw that baby Betsy and baby Brittany were seated facing each other on the kitchen floor. Baby Betsy was nearly twice as tall as baby Brittany, but neither one seemed to mind. Bailey was leading Bobby upstairs. Dad Funcraft was showing Papa and Uncle Doll the microwave. Mom was showing the computer to Mama and Nanny. Do you have your own room? Annabelle asked Tiffany. It depends, Tiffany replied. On what? On where Nora puts our furniture. I'm supposed to share a room with Bailey and baby Brittany, but right now Bailey's bed is on the patio and the crib is up on the roof, so I guess I have a room to myself. Do you want to see it? Oh, yes, replied Annabelle. Tiffany and Annabelle ran up the stairs and into what Annabelle supposed was a bedroom. She supposed this because a bed lay upside down in the corner of the room, but she did not see a dresser or a rug or anything else that was in the nursery at the doll's house. Instead, she saw two plastic sheep, a couch, a box of Tide, and a dining room chair. Annabelle and Tiffany sat together on the couch. I'll tell you a secret, Tiffany offered. One day, this was quite a while ago, the captain was bothering me. Usually I like him, but this one time he was really being a pain in the neck. Yes, said Annabelle. Well, he was in the closet, so I pushed the door closed. I shut him in. He was only stuck there for a few minutes before Nora heard him scratching and let him out, but he learned his lesson. Goodness, said Annabelle, impressed. She thought for a moment, then said, I know a secret too. You do? What is it? I think I know who was writing in Auntie Sarah's journal. Tiffany's mouth dropped open. Who? She cried. I can't tell you yet. I have to talk to the person first. But after you do that, will you tell me? Definitely. Annabelle found that she couldn't stop smiling. Suddenly, there were a million things she wanted to tell Tiffany, old secrets she wanted to share with her, but Annabelle decided to keep the most important secret of all to herself. The secret was this. She believed that she had found a true friend, a doll friend. Auntie Sarah was back and Annabelle loved her, but she was a grown-up. Annabelle loved Kate too, but Kate was a human. Tiffany was a doll girl her own age. Annabelle realized she no longer felt restless, and she no longer felt that something was missing. She had found Tiffany and she felt whole. And she was fairly certain that with Tiffany around, she would never be bored again. The doll friends talked in Tiffany's room for a long time. They talked until they heard Mom Funcraft call from downstairs. Tiffany, Bailey, Annabelle, Bobby, dinner's ready. Annabelle leaped to her feet, pulling Tiffany up behind her. The dolls gathered on the Funcraft's patio, which was only slightly sticky with the remnants of grape soda. In the center of the patio was a stand on top of which was a brown plastic box with a lid. What's that? Asked Annabelle, pointing. The barbecue, replied Tiffany. Oh, the great taste of outdoors, said Annabelle, remembering. She walked closer for a better look. Does it really work? No, it just opens and closes. Presently, the party was underway. Baby Betsy and baby Brittany sat on a blanket, playing with the pink plastic pots and pans. Mom Funcraft and Mama Doll chatted and set the table, while Dad Funcraft and Papa Doll bustled back and forth between the kitchen and the patio, carrying trays of dishes and cups and plastic food. Okay, dig in, everybody, said Mom Funcraft. The dolls and the Funcrafts oohed and ahed over the feast that was before them. Then Annabelle followed Tiffany's lead and gathered up a plate, a cup, and a checked napkin. She sat on the edge of the patio with the plate balanced on her knees and pretended to eat. Annabelle had never eaten a meal from her lap. She thought it was fun. When the meal was over, Mom Funcraft said, All right, Tiffany and Bailey will collect the plates now, and then they will help me with something in the kitchen. The rest of you wait here. Annabelle watched Tiffany help her mother and brother. Then she sat back and waited. She had the delicious feeling that something nice was about to happen. She was right. A few minutes later, Tiffany walked onto the patio holding a pink plastic cake in front of her. Bailey and Mom Funcraft were behind her, and they began to sing. The others joined in. They sang 2 verses. First they sang, "Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, dear Annabelle, happy birthday to you." Then they sang, "Welcome home and welcome back, welcome home and welcome back, welcome home, Auntie Sarah, welcome home and welcome back." Tiffany set the cake on a table between Annabelle and Auntie Sarah. "I'm sorry we can't put candles on it to make it a real birthday cake," she said. "They won't stick to plastic. And besides, we don't have any matches. But you can still make a birthday wish, a secret one, okay? You make a secret wish too, Auntie Sarah. Just close your eyes and think your wishes." Annabelle closed her eyes. She thought, "I am the luckiest doll alive. Papa came home safe and sound. Then Auntie Sarah came home safe and sound. I've just had my first real birthday party ever, and I have a friend. I don't need a birthday wish. I only want to say thank you. This has been the best birthday in 100 years." After the cake, Tiffany and Bailey put on a program of songs and skits, and then everyone sang Under the Boardwalk. After that, it was time for the dolls to go home. "What an evening," said Papa as they reached their house. "How wonderful to have neighbors," added Mama. "How did we manage to live for a century without them?" "I don't know," said Annabelle, thinking of her new friend. "They're so very odd," said Uncle Doll slowly. And yet amazing," said Bobby. "Adventurous," said Auntie Sarah. "Very friendly," said Nanny. "And neighborly," agreed Papa. "But mostly friendly," said Annabelle. The dolls were gathering in the parlor when Annabelle pulled Uncle Doll aside and whispered to him, "Could I talk to you for a minute?" "Of course." Annabelle and her uncle sat at the kitchen table. "I want to ask you something," she said, and said Annabelle. "Yes," replied Uncle Doll. Annabelle watched him fidgeting and thought that Uncle Doll already had an idea what her question was. "Did you know that I had found Auntie Sarah's journal? And were you the one who started writing in it?" she asked. Uncle Doll rested his hands on the table. "Yes," he said quietly. "You were giving me clues, weren't you? Clues that would lead Tiffany and me to the attic." "Yes." "Did you know all along that Auntie Sarah was there?" "No," replied Uncle Doll. "I wasn't sure what had happened to her, but I had an idea that if she were stuck somewhere, it might be the attic. Then you found the journal, and I started reading it. When I got to the parts about the spiders, well," Annabelle thought for a moment before asking her next question. "Why didn't you go to the attic?" she said finally. "Me?" said Uncle Doll. I suppose I could have, but you and Tiffany, I don't know." Annabelle knew, though. She knew what her uncle was trying to say. He had been afraid, truly afraid. But he had thought Annabelle and Tiffany were brave enough and adventurous enough to do the job. He just hadn't known quite how to ask them to do it. And perhaps he hadn't wanted Annabelle to know how afraid he really was. He was starting to change, though, now, a little. But Annabelle realized just how different she and Auntie Sarah were from Uncle Doll and Mama and Papa and Nanny. And suddenly, breathlessly, she felt flattered. She even felt a bit like a grown-up, which was both scary and wonderful. "Uncle Doll," Annabelle said, straightening herself, "why is it I don't remember Auntie Sarah leaving our house to go exploring?" "Well, for one thing, she didn't go very often," he replied. "And when she did go, your parents insisted that she do it secretly, that you and Bobby never know she had left. She would climb out the window in our bedroom and drop to the little carpet below. There used to be a rug under our house," he added. "When she returned, Nanny made sure you and Bobby were engaged, that you didn't see her." "But why didn't Mama and Papa want Bobby and me to know about Auntie Sarah's adventures? Was it because they thought we would want to leave too?" "Yes," replied Uncle Doll. and they felt that was too dangerous. And now, said Annabelle, what do they think now? They still think that leaving the house can be dangerous. After all, look what has happened when we have left our house. Sarah was lost for 45 years. Your father was carried off by a cat. But I think your parents understand that some doll people, you and Sarah for instance, need to leave the house. You were unhappy when you were cooped up. I believe they'll continue to let you leave as long as you're careful. They want you to be happy, Annabelle. And so do I. I know, replied Annabelle. Thank you. She took Uncle Doll's hand in hers, and they sat quietly in the kitchen for a while. Last chapter, chapter 19, Grandma Catherine and the Dolls. After the party at the Fun Crafts, Annabelle and Tiffany saw each other nearly every night, and sometimes during the day. If Nora had gotten Funcraft Dreamhouse Model 210, Tiffany said to Annabelle one morning, I would have come with a friendship necklace. What's a friendship necklace? Annabelle asked. She and Tiffany were sitting on the edge of Tiffany's bedroom, their legs dangling over the side of the dream house. Well, it's actually two necklaces, Tiffany replied. Hanging from each one is half of a broken heart. If you put the pieces together, you have one whole heart and the words best friends on it. If I gave you one of the necklaces, that would mean you were my best friend, and that is what I would do if I had the friendship necklace. Annabelle beamed. And at any time afterward, when Annabelle remembered Tiffany's words, she felt tingly all over. One evening, a Wednesday, Annabelle, who had been draped over the back of a kitchen chair, waited impatiently for Kate to turn out her lights and go to sleep. Then she heard Grandma Catherine's voice in the hallway. Kate, she said, darling, you aren't asleep yet, are you? No, replied Kate, who was reading in the glow of her bedside lamp. Annabelle thought she was reading Understood Betsy. She wasn't sure, and she didn't dare turn her head to see. Grandma Catherine walked slowly into Kate's room and sat on the edge of her bed. Hi, said Kate. Hi. Grandma Catherine tilted Kate's book so she could read the title. Oh, I remember reading that with your mother. When she was 8? Asked Kate. Yes, when she was 8. Are you enjoying the book? Yes, but I'm having trouble concentrating on it right now. You are? Why? I'm thinking about something else, replied Kate. Something I've been thinking about a lot lately. And what's that? Asked Grandma Catherine. The dolls. The dolls? Annabelle and Bobby and the dolls in the dollhouse? Yes, especially Auntie Sarah. It's nice to have her back, isn't it? The dolls are very special, Kate. Did you know I named your mother Annie because of Annabelle? I thought you might have, but I wasn't sure, said Kate. What is it you've been thinking about the dolls? Kate drew in a deep breath and let it out. Grandma Catherine, she said at last, did you ever think the dolls are alive? Grandma Catherine smiled. Well, I did wonder about that when I was your age. And what do you think now? Asked Kate. Grandma Catherine hesitated. Sometimes I still wonder. Kate lifted her head and her grandmother turned around so that they both were gazing into the doll's house. Annabelle, still draped over the kitchen chair, didn't move, but she smiled to herself. And there's Annabelle on the last page. It says the end on this page, and then on one of the very last pages in this book, it has this page, and it is the title of the sequel to this book. So there is a second book written by this author, Anne M. Martin and Laura Godwin, and it is called The Meanest Doll in the World. So if you really liked this book and want to check out the next book in this series, I think you would really enjoy it. And please share with me if you do read it, because I've never read it. So I'd love to hear if it's as good as the first one. Thanks for joining me for this video to finish the doll people with me. I hope you have a really great Monday and that you enjoy the sunshine that is outside right now. And I will talk to you again tomorrow. Love you. Bye.